In every city, behind every door, there is a story you wish you never heard. But some stories never fade. This one begins in the shadowed streets of 1920s New York City, where an old man in a gray suit, soft-spoken and polite, hid a darkness deeper than anyone could imagine. Disappearing children. The year was 1928. America was roaring, jazz clubs, Model T Fords, and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. But on a quiet street in Brooklyn, the Budd family struggled to get by. Their son, Edward, a hard-working 18-year-old, was eager to find work to help his parents. One humid June morning, a man knocked on their door. He was small, frail, dressed neatly in gray. He carried a hat and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Good afternoon, my name is Frank Howard. I'm looking for some help on my farm upstate, the Budd family, desperate for opportunity. Welcome to men. Mr. Howard spoke kindly, offering Edward a job, a good wage, even inviting the whole family to visit his farm on the weekend. But this man was no farmer, he was Albert Fish, one of the most sadistic killers in American history. The devil behind the gentleman. Albert Fish seemed harmless. He was 58, with thinning gray hair and gentle manners, but behind that frail face lived a storm of madness. Born in 1870, he spent his youth in orphanages where he was beaten until he enjoyed the pain. As an adult, he developed terrifying obsessions, self-mutilation, blood, and the belief that God spoke to him through torture. He claimed to have hurt and killed dozens, mostly children, but his crimes were so unspeakable that many believed even his confessions were too monstrous to be real. The day Grace disappeared. When Fish visited the Budd family again, he brought a gift, strawberries and cheese. That day he met Grace Budd, their 10-year-old daughter. She was shy, sweet, and full of life. With a soft voice, Fish told Mrs. Budd he was going to his niece's birthday party nearby and asked if he could take Grace along. He promised she'd be home before dark. Mrs. Budd hesitated, but Fish's gentle nature and age seemed safe enough. Grace put on her best white dress, waved goodbye, and left hand in hand with a kind old man in gray. She never came home. The hunt for the gray man. For years, the Budd family searched. Posters, police, private detectives. Nothing. It was as if Grace had vanished off the face of the earth. Meanwhile, Albert Fish roamed freely, living in cheap boarding houses, taking jobs here and there. He sent letters to women through personal ads describing unspeakable fantasies, but no one connected him to the Budd case. Not yet. In November 1934, 6 years after Grace vanished, Mrs. Budd received a letter. It was old, yellowed, with shaky handwriting. No return address. She opened it and screamed. The letter began innocently enough, but soon descended into a nightmare. Fish described how he had once heard about cannibal tribes in China, and how he had always wondered what human flesh might taste like. Then, he confessed. He told her in gruesome detail how he had taken Grace to an empty house, killed her, and cooked her flesh. It took me 9 days to return to my body, he wrote, but I did not rape her. I could have if I wished. She died a virgin. The letter was signed Albert H. Fish. The captured detectives traced the stationery and envelope to a rooming house in Manhattan. When Fish came to collect a package, the landlady signaled police waiting nearby. When confronted, Fish smiled softly. "I've got something to tell you," he said, "but I doubt you'll believe me." Inside his room, police found a small knife, a meat cleaver, and a collection of torture instruments. He admitted to killing Grace Budd and several other children before her. Madness or evil? During his trial, Fish claimed that voices from God told him to kill. He recited Bible verses, cried, and even smiled when recalling his crimes. Doctors were horrified by his psychological state, self-harm scars, needles embedded in his pelvis, and a complete lack of remorse. Despite pleas of insanity, the jury found him guilty. He was sentenced to die in the electric chair. The Execution of Albert Fish. On January 16th, 1936, at Sing Sing Prison, Albert Fish walked calmly to the chair. Witnesses said he smiled as the straps were fastened. "It will be the supreme thrill," he whispered. "The only one I haven't tried." When the switch was pulled, sparks flew. The gray man was finally gone, but his story never truly left. Some monsters wear masks, some hide behind charm, kindness, or the face of an old man in gray. Albert Fish wasn't just evil. He was proof that darkness can smile, shake your hand, and walk right through your front door.